Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Tuesday, July 6th. Hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. We had a pretty good one here. I didn't get a second podcast out last week. We did put out the podcast with Mike Romans and Erin Shepard earlier in the week. Hope you guys listened to that interview. It's one of the most watched videos we've actually put on YouTube. It got a lot of attention, a lot of great feedback. Really great to talk to those guys after their experiences at Ironman Des Moines 70.3 and kind of get a feeling. It's funny. They're both so much the same. They have very similar personalities. They laugh at the same jokes. They have the same sense of humor, or good senses of humor in general. Obviously signed up for the same race, have the same coach. A lot of similarities there, but they really, in other ways, they couldn't be more different. The way they approach the race, the way they kind of, especially dealt with the adversity that was involved in that race, with the delayed start due to the weather. And the change in the course and all that good stuff. It was a crazy day, but what a great interview. You can check that out on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. But definitely check that one out. I know it's 90 minutes, so you got to kind of make sure you have some time or maybe segment it here and there, watch it in spurts, but really a great story. Both of them had an awesome story, and I'm really happy that I was able to be there for them and just kind of watch the race and really experience it from a coaching standpoint. Invaluable information from a coaching standpoint for sure. I also want to thank a bunch of you guys did get involved and from Team Ordinary over at teamordinary.com, and you wrote your races in. I got a whole bunch of race calendars, race schedules updated over the past week or so. Again, if you're a member of Team Ordinary, head on over to teamordinary.com, update your race schedule, and we'll announce the races on the podcast. Now, a lot of you guys were out racing this weekend. I saw a whole lot of people doing 4th of July races over the weekend. The only one that we saw on the calendar was Keith Jones doing the Wakanda 5K in Brooklyn. Really great to see racing coming back full force in New York. It was one of the hardest places hit in the beginning with COVID and all that stuff and the shutdown. And really great to see Keith's always out there doing races. Really good to see. But I did see a lot of other people out there racing. Carla McCollum, PR to 10K. Amazing. Awesome job, Carla. I know Katie Mayo was out there doing a race in Hingham, along with Stu Wiener, I think, was out there too. I don't know. I saw a lot of races. I'm not going to name them all, but a lot of you guys out there, I don't remember them all. I kind of saw them in passing on our Facebook group at Ordinary Marathoners, by the way. Join the discussion group. Anyway, it's been real busy over there. So if you're a member of Team Ordinary, head on over to teamordinary.com, update that race schedule. That way I can read them off on the podcasts. And I love doing that. So thank you guys. And if you're not a member of Team Ordinary, it's not like it's it's not a closed thing. You can always go to teamordinary.com and join up. I think it's less than $50. It's $49 or something like that. But you get the shirt, you get the hat, you get our gray hat, not our white one. The gray one's awesome though too. I wear it all the time. I'm wearing the white one today. It just was there. It's what I saw in the pile of hats when I woke up this morning. So I grabbed the first one, but, yeah, really good. Really, I don't know. It's really good getting that team concept together and keeping it flowing. So, I think we kind of hit a little bit of a hiccup during COVID with no races. There was nothing to update. So we're kind of trying to restart those engines and get them involved and get them revved up and see all you guys out there racing. I know a lot of you guys out there getting things done. It's really good to see. Updates on the Ordinary Marathoner Foundation, because we've had some really good news there. Our first participant in our first program, 15-year-old Jonah. I'm getting old, and my brain, my memory doesn't snap into it as quick. Jonah Popovich from Pflugerville, Texas. He started his training for his first 5K. So he started the training on July 1 with Coach Brianna Rolling, and he's up and moving, man. It's good to see. It's good to see all of this work that we've done up until now finally start to pay off. We've got other good news down the pike. We have another program. We have a kids clinic in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts that we're putting on. It's like an 8-week clinic that we're putting on in the fall. We've met with the town's Department of Recreation, and also with a local running store called 4Run3. Tim Murphy and Jill Murphy over there are great people. We're putting together a curriculum for these kids to kind of get them ready for their first 5K, which will be a Halloween race. So we're really looking forward to that. Another thing that was kind of funneled through the foundation, and we've got more things coming down the pike, guys. I'm telling you, it's hashtag do good things. That's what we do. That's what we do at the foundation. And honestly, as we start here, as we start with our first program, I did want to stop and take a moment and thank everyone that's been involved, be it the board of directors, my wife Stephanie, Debbie Early, Scott Fassard, our advisory board, all of you guys going to meetings, even when I call them over the weekend on weekend nights. You guys are showing up and you guys are helping out and giving us great ideas. The donors. So important to our mission to be funded, and you guys, we opened the doors in March, and you guys funded our initial programs. You guys did it. You came through for us, so we thank you for that. And again, you can always donate over at ordinarymarathonerfoundation.org and check out what we got going on over at the website. But man, it feels really good that this group, that just sort of like this ragtag group of online people that we put together over the last 4 or 5 years, is really coming together to do amazing, amazing things. And we love to see it. And I thank all of you guys for it. Even if, I tell you what, even if you didn't have the cash to donate, and you're out there and you're supporting us on social media and you're hitting the like button and you're sharing with your friends, I see a lot of people doing it. It's really cool. We also, just so you know too, Ordinary Marathon, registration for Ordinary Marathon is open through Race Roster. You can go ahead and do that, and a lot of updates there. This year we're doing teams. You can join a team. I know Katie Mayo has set up Team Boston, so if you live in that Boston area, even if you don't know Katie personally, join that team. That's awesome. It's she's got a group of folks that I'm sure will be joining her team. We have Ron and Tabby Booz also started a team. They're going to get some people down there in North Carolina. You can join their team. And if you don't know anyone and you kind of just like, I don't know what team to start, we did Team Ordinary Marathoner Foundation. And that's kind of like a catch-all. If you want to be on a team, join the team. You get your own Facebook. You get your own fundraising page. And there's no fundraising minimum. This isn't like, you don't have to fundraise. But it's a place that you can write your story and talk about the things that you do. Talk about the way you approach, why you registered for the Ordinary Marathon. And if you want to share that page with people and you think people might donate to the cause, I think the cause is worth it. It's near and dear to us, so it really helps us out. So thank you guys in advance for signing up for the Ordinary Marathon, for being involved with the foundation, for donating, all that great stuff. Things are happening, and it's because of you. It is because of you. And again, if you want to get involved at a more granular level, please give me a call. We could always use volunteers and things like that. I have lots of conversations about the foundation. Steph and I just had one the other day. I don't know if I told this story on the podcast. I may have before. But I was driving to my daughter's daycare to pick her up one day, and I found a wallet on the ground. I looked up the woman on Facebook. I found her. I reached out, made sure she got the wallet back. I only took like $60. She had like 200. So I didn't take anything. I swear there was no cash in it anyway. How would I know? I looked at it. But no, I didn't take anything back. I've actually found 2 wallets in the last 3 months. That's pretty good. I don't know. I gave them both back. You should, by the way. If you find a wallet, you got to give it back. Anyway, I talked to this woman on Facebook, and we started having conversation. And, about a month after finding her wallet and just having this conversation, she got us in touch with someone who can help the foundation, who I believe will help the foundation in a lot of different ways, including a new program that we're probably going to announce in the next month or two. And a really, really a great one, like one that's really going to support a lot of needy folks. So, it's very strange sometimes. You get out of the house, something happens, you find a wallet. Next thing you know, you're having meetings. Next thing you know, you're doing good things. I don't know. It's just, when it's on your mind and you're trying to do something and you just, when you meet someone and you talk and that's all they talk about, it kind of like rubs off, I guess. I don't know. But things are happening, guys. Things are happening. It's really good. Now on to one other thing. By the way, didn't June go really fast? June was like a blink of an eye. I don't even know what happened to June. June was here and gone in just no time. I feel like, and I have a race this weekend, a big one, a 70.3, and things are happening. I got to be honest. One of the reasons why I've been struggling having podcasts over the last couple weeks is because I feel like I need to talk about my race because it's my race, and this is kind of what we do, right? We talk about racing, we talk about things. And the thing is, I don't really feel very prepared for my race. I just don't. And you guys follow me on Strava. It's not like I've been doing nothing, but I certainly haven't been training at my peak, right? I definitely haven't. My longest bike ride in the last few weeks has been like 22 or 23 miles. My longest run I did the other day, 6 miles. It was brutal. It's just the quantity is there, the quality is not. And I don't feel ready. And it's hard for me to come on the podcast and discuss this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I like to be positive, right? I like to exude positive influence and give you guys hope. I don't like speaking from the negative. I don't like sharing bad news. I don't like being unprepared. It's very unbecoming of a host of a running podcast and a coach, no less. What my athletes must think when their own coach doesn't show up to a race prepared. But I talked to Stephanie about it a while, and I'm like, I want to spread positive vibes, but how do you do that when you feel unprepared for your race? How is that being done? And her answer to me, which I thought was good, was, hey, just be genuine, just be truthful and honest, and don't put smoke and mirrors up. And, in fact of the matter is I don't share my 6-mile run at a 13-minute pace because I know in the past I've done a lot better. And I'm like, oh, people will see this run and know that I'm out of shape when I'm going to a half Ironman on Sunday. So I did try to kind of briefly analyze what went wrong. And, there's a lot of different things. And this is me. If you guys know me over the course of the last, few years, you know that this is what I do is I analyze what went wrong. I analyze what fell through. And really, there's a lot of things that have prioritized my time and taken away my time, and nothing that I regret. Honestly, there's nothing that I regret in terms of the training that I have done versus what I did instead of that. And I remember actually when I started coaching, I had a conversation with a guy who had coached for years, and he said to me, well, what do you think of, we were talking about racing, and he said, well, what do you think is going to happen with your own racing career? Are you going to be able to progress, or do you think you're going to be stagnated, or what, what's going to happen to your career? And I said, I think I'll be able to train and keep training. And he's like, well, if you want to be serious about coaching, you might have to dial that down a bit, like dial it back, because it's very hard to coach and be there for your athletes and also try to progress with your own training. It's too much focus needs to be put on training for something like an Ironman if you really want to take coaching seriously. And I'm relaying this. I'm not, again, trying not to use it as an excuse, trying to be positive. And I think to a certain degree, yes, that's true. It's definitely true when I know that some days I would rather ride with my athlete than do my prescribed workout, or do something with my athlete, do whatever my athlete is doing that day instead of what is prescribed for me. That happens. It happens more often than I'd like to admit. And I think the other thing really, my weekend workouts have just not been there. It's been struggle to get the time. It's been struggle to, I probably about 8 hours of my weekend is geared towards building plans for my athletes for the next week. So the answer is, it's not an excuse, right? 8 hours of my weekend devoted to developing plans for my athletes is a lot, and it's especially a lot when you have a 2-year-old and a wife and a family that you have to kind of plan around, and you don't want to take away from their lives, right? You don't want to take away too much. It's a team effort. Family should always be a team effort. And, if you don't want to hamper that, right? So, it's like on the one hand, there's good things happening, right? I would say Team Ordinary is doing very well. The podcast is doing well. The YouTube is doing well. The coaching has been an amazing experience for me over the last year. And I'm learning the ropes. I'm learning, I think the coaching part has been amazing and great. And I think what I'm learning is how it affects me personally. And I think this time it really, it just took focus away from myself. And that's fine. That's what was to be expected. And that's what it was, that's what's to be expected. And it just sort of, I feel like that is probably the number one thing that happened. And I'm willing to make that sacrifice. I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm willing to make, I chose to make that sacrifice. Now, I think with my race approaching and me being not in peak shape, decisions, right? Decisions. Because for a moment I thought, man, do I even bother doing the race? And the fact of the matter is, look, I think I can finish the swim without trouble. I think I'll do okay. I won't set any records or anything like that, but I'll get in at a respectable time. I seem to swim okay. I'm comfortable and confident in my swim. I feel like as though I'm improved on the bike. I'm certainly improved in the short run. My FTP is higher. My weight, unfortunately, is higher, which is, that's going to offset any improvements that I made, unfortunately. But again, it is what it is. I think I will get through the bike. I think I will struggle a little towards the end of the bike, but I think I'll get through it. The problem I'm going to have is the run. I just have not been running. And I've been saying it on the podcast over and over. I've not been running. Back in March, I did build up to 11 treadmill miles, and I felt pretty good about that. And I felt pretty good about where I was for the time being. But since March, I don't know what happened. I kind of everything's just sort of fallen through the cracks and kind of melted away. And my run fitness which was at 11 miles at least, and potentially, ready to get to become that 13.1 should have been comfortable by now. All I had to do was progress from there, and instead I let it fall through. And again, I'm trying to be honest here, guys. And I understand that it's not easy to listen to. You want to hear positive things from me. You want to hear rah-rah things. You want to be shown an example of how to do the right things. And you want the David Goggins, and I'm not that. I'm not that. I am fallible. Things fall through. So I'll just say this was over the weekend, my 6-mile run. I went out on that 6-mile run attempting to do 10 just to see how it would feel. And then when I started running, I realized very quickly that 10 was not going to be a run. And then I just changed it over. And what I wound up doing was I was trying to find that interval pace, that interval combination of walk run that would net me a sub 14-minute mile, so that if I do get off the bike on Sunday, I could run as conservatively as possible and still make it to the cutoff, to the finish. So I started doing 2-minute run, 1-minute walk. And after the first couple miles, I was like, it's not going to hold. I felt comfortable in the moment, but I know over 13.1 miles, it wasn't going to hold. So I increased, I went to 2-minute run, 2-minute walk. And that was a little bit better. But again, the run just felt like over time, over the course of 13.1 miles, it wasn't going to hold. And I kept messing around with it, just changing the intervals until I found something that I actually thought was a really good system. And I'm going to share that with you today. It's called the Ordinary Marathoner 2-minute system. You may enjoy this. You may like this for yourself. I look at my watch a lot when I run. I do. I run, I look at the watch, I look at the time. I wouldn't do it when riding. That's a little bit different. But when running, that's what I do. So this time, the problem is that if I'm going to do like a 2-minute walk, a 2-minute run followed by a 1-minute walk, sometimes it's like you're constantly looking at the watch and you got to kind of think for yourself, like, what's the next minute? And then, if you miss a minute, like then you're all screwed up and it's like even, odd, whatever. But if you do a 2-minute block and just a constant 2-minute block, that every time an even number comes up on your watch, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, that it's time to start another interval, right? So how do I break these 2-minute intervals down? And it was quite simple. I ran for 30 seconds and I walked for 1.5 minutes, which is a very conservative interval, but it was netting me between 13 minutes and 13.5-minute miles, which is more than enough to get to the finish line in time of an Ironman 70.3. If you get off the bike, you should have about 3 hours and 15 minutes. If you get off the bike just at the very last minute, you should have about 3 hours and 15 minutes to finish the run. So if you think about it that way, you probably got you have to average about 14.5-minute miles. So if I can do 13.5-minute miles, I'll be happy. Now, the other question just surrounds whether or not I can move my body 13.1 miles. And it's a tough question to answer because I tell you what, I've never run a half marathon. I'm 245 pounds. I had peaked about 3 weeks ago at 252. So I'm on the way down, too little, too late, right? But I'm on the way down, and unfortunately, I don't like starving myself to lose weight. I think that will be more detrimental to my race day. I'll lose power, I'll lose strength, and then I won't even know where I am. So concentrate on just eating right instead of eating nothing. And I've been losing the weight 2-3 pounds a week over the last 3 weeks. I'm 245 now, which is good. But I've never done a half marathon at this heavy a weight. I just never have. I think the heaviest I ever was probably 230 pounds, 235 pounds, something like that. And I was probably in really good shape at that time when I did that race. It just, my weight had gone up, but I was still in good shape. I PR'd my marathon time at 228 pounds. So, but I was in good shape for me. Now I'm in bad shape and I'm heavy. So it's a bad combination. So here's the idea. Approaching this race with I've thought about 100 different things. All right. I tell you what, the thought comes to mind occasionally. Hey, why don't I just say I hurt myself, I got injured, or I don't feel well, or I don't know. Why don't I just make an excuse and then just not do it? Those thoughts pop into my head for about 2 seconds, and I always dismiss them because I'm not going to do that for you guys. I am either going to say I am not racing or I am racing. That's it. If I felt awful, like really, really bad, I would tell you I'm not racing. The thought came up to maybe go out and focus on the swim and focus on the bike and then cut my race there and just stop right there and be happy and content with that and do a duathlon and be happy and content with that and don't risk going out in the run because I'm not trained up and I'm not. And when I think of it that way, it's potentially a smart idea. It actually, the more I think about it, it's actually really a smart idea. But I kind of want the medal and I kind of don't want to bail. Even though, it's like, the thing that I find is like, look, if this was a goal race for me and it was something I would do anything to cross that finish. I would, I think of Ironman in 2019. I would have done anything to cross that finish. There were plenty of times there it would have been easy for me to quit, but I just kept going. I do not have that desire, that push, that motivation to finish this race in that fashion. It's just not something I embraced. I was hoping to be here in shape and be able to race this race and be able to, but not for the race's sake, for my sake. Unfortunately, I didn't. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So I think the idea is this, and again, I'm sorry if you guys don't like this podcast, and I'm sorry, this one in particular. I'm sorry if it's not bringing good news to you. I'm sorry if you're looking at me and saying, "See that guy? He's got a podcast. He's got this group. The fact of the matter is I struggle, and I struggle sometimes with some of the same things some of you guys struggle with. I talk to a lot of you guys about it. I talk to you guys about food. I talk to you guys about training. I talk to you guys about the things that are necessary to be ready on race day. I just didn't take those lessons myself this time around. A little mea culpa, a little, all right, guilty as charged. But, I still have a race to run and I still have something to plan, a strategy to plan, and we're going to do that. We're going to go out on that swim and we're going to try to just be efficient and we're going to try to find get in that zone, that mental zone, find that stroke, and just stay with it. And, the way I kind of attack the swim is always the same. I find a nice stroke that I'm kind of happy with, where I know that I can continue that pace for quite a while. I stay at it. I stay focused. And then at a certain point, I can start smelling that finish line. And once I kind of see it and if I have a little in the tank, then I go for it. And I especially try to use my upper body, my hips, anything that I can use. I try to just use to gain that strength to kind of pick up the pace towards the second half of that swim. And if it's there, I will take it and I will push towards the finish line. Going to get out of there, going to hop on the bike. And I tell you, I really want to see how I do on the bike. As much as I'm unhappy with my weight situation, and that will detract from my final statistics, I've been working hard on the bike. If there's one place I've been working hard, it's on the bike. The only problem is with that is typically my workouts have been 1 to 2 hours, nothing beyond that. This is going to be like a 3.5 hour to 4 hour ride. I think I will finish the swim in 45 minutes. I think I will finish the ride in, I'm going to give myself 3 hours and 45 minutes, right around between 15 and 16 miles an hour. And it might be better than that. It might be. It might be. Sometimes when you're out training, you're on, I go to this path. I was out there yesterday. You have to stop for red lights. This is the thing that one of my pet peeves about the path is it seems like every time you come out of the woods on the path and you get to a road and it's a cross street, you wind up going down a hill and then you have to stop at the road. And then when you go across, then you got to go back up the hill. For whatever reason, the roads are kind of like at a decline. And then, so that doesn't happen on race day. On race day, you carry that speed down. You don't have to stop for the cars, and you just go straight out, and then you can kind of carry that speed up the hill. And I think that because there are a significant number of cross streets, I do think that takes away from my overall time. I don't know how much. Also, we have a lot of walkers on the path yesterday, so that takes away from your time. Again, I don't know how much, but it is there. It is there. So I do think that, yes, I can kind of hang around that 16 mile an hour mark if I really focus. Again, I haven't ridden more than like 20, 25 miles at one time. So after sort of that first 2 hours, I'm kind of in no man's land. I don't really know how that's going to go. So the plan is to kind of attack it, but attack it conservatively. And then again, as we eat away at those miles, and you feel more comfortable, push the pace as much as you can. I would not. One thing I am not going to do is reserve anything on the bike. I'm going to put it all out there when I'm done, which means I'm going to come in off the bike and I am going to be exhausted. And I hope I can kind of do that 2-minute plan. And by the way, the 2-minute plan. Let me go back to quickly that 2-minute plan. 2-minute plan involves this. Yes, I'm going to run for 30 seconds and then walk for 1 minute and 30. But that 2-minute plan, that 2-minute interval is always interchangeable. So if you're on a downhill and you want to run further, do it. Run a minute and a half, run the full 2 minutes, do whatever you want. If you're on an uphill and you don't want to do the run, don't run the 30 seconds. To be honest, I did a very hilly run the other day and I felt good running up the hills for the 30 seconds, but it also caps you at the 30 seconds. So you're like, all right, I got my interval in, I feel good. And then you walk it out. And again, when I go down the hill, I like running down the hills because I feel like I do pick up significant speed and I don't want to lose that speed by walking. That's just sort of my theory on that. But I like the 2-minute intervals because I can constantly look at my watch and I know even number, new interval, start running. Even number, new interval, start running. It's just sort of an easy way to do it. I'm embracing it. I'm loving it. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get off that bike. I'm going to be spent. And then I'm going to go out on the run. By the way, I tried on my Team Ordinary kit the other day, the Wadi Ink kit that we got. I know there's problems with Wadi. I'm neither supporting or not supporting them. I'm neutral. I'm Switzerland on the Wadi situation. But we do have Wadi kits, so I'm wearing it. And the top does not fit, but I did get the running singlet and that fits. So I'll be wearing the running singlet on the bike. I never keep nutrition in my back pockets anyway. I keep them on the bike. So I'll be doing that. And and I'll probably be using the rest stops, the aid stations a lot more often anyway. And the running singlet fits. So the bike shorts fit, the running singlet fits. I'm good to go. So that felt good. I do have to try on the wetsuit. I'm almost hoping that the race is not wetsuit legal, so I don't have to worry about wearing it. But we'll see about that on race day, and we'll see about that when the time comes. So I'm off, guys. That's it. I 5 a.m. rides, by the way, this week are off. I'm just not going to make them. I am certainly in some sort of, what happened was I ran 6 miles, and then I rode yesterday pretty hard, and my quads were they need a break. They need a break today before race day. They just need sort of some light work going forward. And I hate to say I'm tapering when I didn't really build up to anything, so there's nothing to taper from. But I just need to, the legs need to be in decent shape for race day. So we're just trying to coddle them a little bit and be ready to have whatever strength is in there, to have it show up on Sunday at Ironman Muscle Man in Geneva, New York, at that start line. We'll see how it goes, guys. Sometimes, and I tell you what, I'd rather take the DNF than the DNS. I would. I just would. So again, this is not something new for you guys. You guys know sometimes I go through periods of fluctuation. I'm either on or I'm off. And unfortunately, for this one, I'm off. However, what I'm hoping to do is get there. I tell you what, going to Des Moines a couple weeks ago was great to be amongst the triathletes, amongst the people. You kind of get that sensation. And a lot of times when you train by yourself, you lose that. And that's one of, again, not an excuse, but it's just a fact. You lose that sort of vibe. You lose that training vibe that you can get while being out and training with other people. That being said, again, not an excuse, but being out in Des Moines, I think, helped me. I think going to this race and just participating, whether the time, I hope to finish. If I do, then that's great. If I don't, I'll be happy that I started and that I went out there and tried my best. I'm going to definitely go out and definitely going to try my best. We'll see how the chips fall, and don't die. I'm not in that. I think, I'm smart enough to know when to quit, guys. I am, as you guys have known from my DNFs in the past, but I'm not in awful shape. I'm just not ready for this race. I'm certainly not 100% ready. I certainly can finish. The finish it's there as a possibility, and hopefully, I will go. And I'll tell you, as much as I'm being reserved in this podcast, on race day, I will show up, and I will show up mentally prepared. I will show up. I have a plan. I will show up mentally prepared to face the day and attack the day, on race day. Again, when I talked to Stephanie, the idea was, be genuine, be honest, be truthful. Don't pull one, don't try to pull a fast one. I see other people, you see I know Marathon Investigator finds these people all the time, and sometimes they're coaches, and, they feel like they need to kind of put this facade up of, I am a great athlete and therefore I am a great coach. When I think the two are mutually exclusive. I believe in that. I do think that you need the experience, and you need to go through those experiences. And maybe sometimes the learning experience is to fail at times, or to not be ready. And then understand that what has to go into that and what needs to change. And having experienced all those different things and different senses of, readiness at the start line, it gives a coach, I think, more of a, more experience to draw on. In terms of whether or not you're ready. So I'm trying to spin this into a positive, if I can. But yeah, I've seen other coaches on Marathon Investigator get caught, cheating or whatnot. And part of the reason is they go out and they spread this message of, I'm out there training, I'm out there working hard, I'm out there, I'm prepared, I'm doing all these wonderful things, and it turns out that they're not. I'm proud of the fact that I've never lied to you guys about that. It's a struggle sometimes, a struggle for me. I know, and I share that struggle, I think, with a lot of you out there. But honestly, I do think that I'm going to get there, and I'm going to kind of get that vibe, and I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get the itch to race again and to be ready again. I'm already looking at the 2022 calendar. There's a couple races on my radar. I don't think I'm a Lake Placid guy next year. Maybe again in the future, I will go to Lake Placid and watch the race. I love doing it. We're going to be doing that this year, but I don't think I'm going to be a Lake Placid guy next year either. I think I want to stay relatively flat, and we'll see. Anyway, that being said, I think I've kind of been yapping around. Look, we're off to Ironman Muscle Man at the end of the week. I'm going to be looking for some new guests to bring on the podcast as well. This is probably the only one that's going to come out this week. I know we've been a little bit off with the timing. Again, I apologize for that, but part of it is just that I didn't know how to talk to you guys about this race, and I think we did okay today. I'm going to go after it on Sunday. I will be, again, I will be in, I have a good plan for where I'm at. I have a good strategy for where I'm at. I think the finish line is certainly I would say even a probability, more of a probability than a possibility. I will suffer on the run, and I am prepared to suffer on the run. It is what it is. But I think now that I've kind of experimented and have a decent plan to attack it, a conservative plan that I've put in place, I think we're about as good as it's going to get right now. It's as good as it's going to be. And I kind of think, even with my swim and my bike, if I really work hard, I do think I can build in a little bit extra time and maybe just kind of walk across that finish line at the end of the day, get through it, get a medal, have a beer, enjoy the rest of the evening. And that's That's what we're going to do on Sunday. So guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us. Again, if you want to support the podcast, patreon.com/ordinary marathon, or become a patron, get your name added to the scroll in about 3 seconds after I tell you every day is an ordinary day, unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.